Hi everyone. So first of all, I would like to welcome you all to the Trainer's Guide. I think that's the best title I could come up with, right? It should be Trainer's Instructional Videos. But well, the name might change in the future. The Surviving Guide for Trainer. My name is Gaurav Thapa and I would like to welcome you all for this short presentation. Might be 30 minutes. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience. I really appreciate that you're watching it. And although I might not be physically out there with you guys, I'll try to make it as more engaging and entertaining as possible. Okay, so that's the title we came up with. So this basically tells you about like how trainers can perform their job much better in an easier way. So let's just start up. I might be moving around a lot, so please excuse my walks. So let's get right into the topic, right? So what do you do as a role of a trainer? So basically our job, I wrote this down by the way, because I don't want to forget anything. As you know, we are humans, we are not computers, and we should be smart enough to put everything down, all our creative ideas on notes and make it right. So what is the role of a trainer or a teacher or a coach? I think basically we are constantly creating and crafting intellectual capital in the future. So that's the best thing, right? And we are, of course, we are not compensated for our work, but I think I mentioned the taxes too over there, right? So I think our job as a trainer or a teacher or in any country, I think it should be tax free. The income they should make should be tax free. So that's a topic for a different video. So let's continue. Okay, and you can sit back, relax, just enjoy the show. Okay, I hope you're wondering, oh my god, what am I doing here? I promise you it's going to be really worthwhile. Second thing we should do as a trainer is reminding the importance of the course to all our students. Just basically say them, right? Whenever you're doing diplomas or any vet courses, because once we study, what happens is if we don't revise, we forget things. So this course, you can basically simply tell them it's more like a revision course for some of them, because they have already finished their bachelor's degree or master's degree in their country and they just want to upgrade their skills, or for other reasons they're doing the course, right? So basically it's more like a revision. Anything is more like a revision for them, right? So that's our job to tell them, that's our role to tell them. Flourishing with each other and not fighting with each other. What do I mean by that? See, a teacher-student relationship should be just like, how do I say, fish and water, something like that, right? You should really help them and not fight with their ideas, because no single idea is correct or no single idea is wrong. We have different perspective of life. We answer things from different knowledge, different ideas, right? So it's just not, the sky is not only blue, it can be sky blue. It can sometimes even be plain white or dark, right? So all answers should be expected. So flourishing together, not fighting together is the key. And absolutely respect towards each other is very, very important, very vital. Especially in Asian countries, we tend to respect teachers by saying sir, madam, right? In most overseas countries, what I realized it, even when I was here doing my diploma, I was saying like, okay, Paul, sir, I mean like sir would be there, right? And that's completely fine. But later I realized they just speak to the trainers by their name, just like, hi Paul, how are you, right? I think Paul must be showing this video to you. He must be laughing as well. So anyway, all this respect towards trainers is the mutual respect. It should be, right? So don't expect to get respect from the student. Okay, but as a trainer, our role is to respect them regardless of their age, qualification, their looks, or their gender. We just respect them. I mean, that really shows that we are creating a nice environment for them to study. Dress code, you can wear smart casual. Sometimes I wear all this tie and suit. So it's more professional, I think. But depending on the country, right? Suppose you're watching this video in India and it's like really, really hot. You can't wear a tie, otherwise you'll sweat, right? Instead of focusing on your lesson, you'll be like, God damn it, this dress code. I don't like the dress code, right? So just make sure, depending on the country where the desk wrote, I think basically this is for like cold countries, you know, you put it out here. I'm already sweating, by the way, right, little bit. Now, certainly students are our client, but they are not always right. So there is a notion that the client always comes first, which is good. Customer is always right. That is absolutely BS, meaning bullshit, right? Why? Now, a customer sometimes might not know what they really want. You know, the customer is not always right. Okay? So we just have to manage those things and really try to adapt and be more flexible. Because as you realize, nobody knew they wanted an Apple, you know. Steve Jobs created Apple, gave it to the market, right? So nobody wanted it, it was an expensive product. But hey, he had a vision. So not always the customer is right. Certainly they have their point of view, does not mean they are always right. Okay? The customer sometimes can be wrong because of lack of information. Our job is to educate them with the information. Okay? So please do keep that in mind as well. Moving on, we have course overview and teaching in the class. So what do we do with that? Like, basically, with time you will learn. With time, I think I have learned, I'm still learning, and I'm sure until I die, I will still be learning. It's a very hectic process for which we don't get a lot of, I mean, my Indian friends will be very happy. They know what it means, right? They're like, yeah, he's right. So with time, you see, you will learn with time. So there's no need to panic, especially if you're a new trainer. You don't need to panic a lot, right? Give a little bit of orientation of what the subject is about and what it does. Basically, even when we are a student, we want to go nowadays to the class and we want to know like bang, 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 that's it. You know, most of us, right? So it's good to give a little bit of overview of the course, you know, what the course does, right? For example, let's say managing recruitment, something like that. You have a topic of that, like the subject code, the managed recruitment, selection and induction process. So you teach a little bit about recruitment, tell them what is recruitment, you know, what's induction, just a little bit, not too much, right? Details, you can go in the lecture. A little bit about induction process. So, and what the course does, you know, after you study the course, what are you going to get, right? What can the student expect each week? Some colleges have lesson plans. For some, you have to create your own. Suppose you have maybe an 8-week period of teaching, or like, let's say even an 8-month period of teaching. So tell them, like, every week you're gonna give them some keywords, you know, okay, this week we're gonna study that, next week we're going to study that, right? This month we are working on this project, next month we are working on the other project, and next month we're working on a different project, right? So at least they have a little bit of idea that each week, what are they going to get each week, right? It's not like a marriage, it should not be like surprising, right? After you learn how to write, then start to think and write. Okay, this came somewhere here. It should have been on the other slide, but anyway. So what it simply means that sometimes the students are very weak in their writing skills, you know. So basically, the best way I think we can train them is just tell them to just write, first of all. They don't have to think and write, you know, for example, essay writing or assessment, just write. Just tell them to copy first. Then after that, what happens is that later on, they can actually start to think and then write. You know what I mean? So it basically creates some kind of like, first you just write, you just type, you're writing, you're not thinking. Because for most of the people, they don't want to write essays or do the assessment, because sometimes they think they want to write and then they're just thinking too much. Okay. This is a skill I learned from Steve Schwarzman from Blackstone Company, very big company. If you Google Blackstone Group, it's a very big company. He can provide some research as well. That's what he was saying in one of those videos. I just picked it up from him, right? Thank you, Mr. Schwarzman. So giving examples, relevant examples. Okay, so the world is moving at a very, very fast pace. Every information that we get is changing very quickly. You know, last time I went to a seminar and where there was the managing director of LinkedIn, Matt Tindley for Australia. And he was saying that every 2 years they change the whole program for LinkedIn, right? So you see, at so much fast pace in the world is changing, we also have to upgrade ourselves. And that's where respect comes from. If you know what you're doing, if you really are teaching the subject, you are in and out of, the material, right? Automatically people will respect you. And those who hate you will respect you later, okay? So giving like practical, relevant examples, give them relevant examples, not always from the book, what's happening around the world. So it's good to see news sometimes, right? Read some finances, papers, just overall news, Now, this is very, very important, especially for all countries, including in Australia. Religion and political views should be minimized. You can jokingly give example, but not so serious. It is fine that some of you believe in Jesus. Absolutely good. It's fine some of you believe in Allah. That's really nice. Some of you believe in like Krishna or God or different kinds of gods, right? Minimize it. Because people, once they believe in something, it's very hard to change their belief, right? They can die for their belief. So our job is to be very neutral in this case, very, very neutral. Even sometimes I didn't added this word over there, even gender, who cares, right? Whether they like a boy or whether they like a girl, we should not really care about that. Our job is to provide them the materials, teach them, write assessment, check the assessment, help them to grow, not to judge. So as a teachers, we are not a judge of their character or whatever. Our job is to make them better human beings. So religion and political views, just try to minimize it, but you can jokingly say it, right? Okay, so I hope so far you're having a really nice time, and wherever you're watching the video, I'm sure they're giving you some water to drink at least, or some refreshments. Okay, so moving on, so when moving, like let's say, when we're teaching, right, we're moving on to the next topic or the next subject, next lessons. What you can do is just write down the keywords. For example, you're on week 4, there is a new student that comes on week 4. So before starting your lesson of week 4, you can tell them, hey, on week 1, we were studying a lot of things, and collaboration was the main keyword, right? And week 2, we discussed about recruitment of the people, how we can recruit them. And recruitment means so and so and so, right? You can just give them a little bit of example. Week 3, we did some induction, which is really important for any company to have a proper induction so they can work better. Now, this is week 4. We are going to be studying about this topic. So just a little bit of revision might help, okay? Understanding culture is very, very important. Just try to understand now, I love horses. Last time I was talking with a student, she said, they actually eat horse in Mongolia, and I'm like, wow. And I was like, what? At first, right? So, but not judging her, they want to eat the horse, dog, cat, mouse, who cares, right? Let them eat. Understanding the culture and not neglecting them is the secret to be a successful trainer, okay? So understanding the culture is very important. Don't judge people, understand the culture. If you really don't understand anything, just try to respect it, done. As long as it's not harming you, physically, not emotionally. We know how our emotions work. Learn about the student past work history and current job, their future plans, if possible. Any job is a good job, even having no job is a good job, right? Because that's the ultimate job, is to have no job in the very end. People work so hard and then they retire. If some of the students come to your class, they're already retired, they have no work, still, just joke about it, but also help them to be better, right? So whatever you learn about their work history, their current job, sometimes you can get so much resources out of them. There might be a manager at some company, there might be like a recruitment officer, so you can flow with the conversation. The class will be more engaging, it will help you a lot, okay? And anybody, what do I really need this skill and how can it help me? See, any skills that does not help somebody in their personal life or professional life, there is no need to teach them, right? People join different courses for different reasons, I'm sure, right? Someone wants to be a doctor, will not be in your class because it's just business, right? Although the doctors could learn about business, but maybe they just want to learn about human body and all these things. They don't need to know about business. They said, okay, I will be a great doctor. I will hire somebody from the business world to manage my operation. right? So if a doctor is interested, they will not be in your class. So for business people, whoever are in your class, so just tell them how they can use the skills they have learned into the real world. Because if we cannot apply into the real world, there is no point learning anything, right? If you cannot apply, why learn? Okay, it will be just like a philosophical class. That's it. So they should be able to apply it in the real world. Now, lesson plans for me, I really believe that lesson plans simply means most of the colleges will have their own lesson plan. You will get your lesson plans every week, what you need to teach. Okay. Some of the colleges, they might not have it. So based on the whole course structure, you create your own lesson plan that every week, what are you going to teach, like every week, right? What are you going to complete every week? That comes under your lesson plan. It should be short. We don't need that 8-9 hours of blah, 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 not even 3-4 hours of blah, blah. Short, sweet, simple. That's what we need in a lesson plan, right? And seamless, I think. I could have wrote simple, but well, seamless seems like a very, very suiting word that suited the purpose. Keep you in track, especially if you're a new trainer. So especially if you're a new trainer, what lesson plan does is it keeps you in track, that you're not off the track. So that's really helpful. Extra research is always recommended. Even though if you have a lesson plan, if you want to do some extra research, that is always recommended. You bring in extra materials to discuss in the class. It will be more exciting and fun. Especially if you are an exciting and entertaining person, right? I believe education is all about entertainment these days. If you are not a good entertainer, people will not focus on you. You have to have like the execution level, the entertainment level, and you have to have the knowledge of the subject too. So that's how I think we should teach nowadays, right? We wish we could be paid more to do that. Anyway, adapting to lesson plans. So most of the things you can adapt to your lesson plans whenever you're doing your research. That definitely will help you out. So there are lots of good lesson plans, I'm sure, with different colleges. But if you somehow don't find any lesson plan, you can create your own. Now moving on to the assessment, of course, this is the task where everybody freaks out. Even some of us, like a trainer, when we go to a study, we just want to find out, hey, what's the assessment? How can I get it faster? How can I do it faster? And how can I get the hell out of this course and start doing something, right? So anyway, this is the scariest part for every student or every trainers, probably every teachers. Why? Because sometimes we don't understand it. Sometimes we teach the students and we are scared that they don't give us the right answer, right? So how to make it easier? Explain things in the assessment. The keywords in the assessment, you can explain them. Okay, there are always some keywords, important words in the question. You can explain them to the students briefly, shortly, not give them the whole answer. Although if it makes your life easier. Anyway, because some students don't understand them, right? So, and making them feel relaxed and comfortable. So it is only an assessment. We're not going to hang anybody. You have to make sure you tell that in a nicer way. We're not hanging people there. It's only assessment. And even if you cannot really do it greatly, it is okay to do and to write whatever you know. You have to make them comfortable, right? Performance criteria. Most assessments are based on performance criteria, so you have to see what performance criteria is meeting, and we judge them based on that. For example, like you are a really great pilot, you know your dress code is great, your hairstyle is awesome. People look at you like, wow. Your plane is very clean. You know all the instruction in the plane. Everything is perfect, right? You are this charming, handsome-looking guy or a girl who's just taking the plane off into the air, right? Now the plane goes off into the air. You got all the skills, 95%. But you don't know how to land the plane. That's a problem. You see, that's one performance criteria you missed while learning in your course is you did not know how to land the plane properly, or you don't know at all. So that means wrong. You fail the whole subject of pilot training. Why? Because you don't know how to land the plane. that comes under one of the performance criteria. So that is simply mean by performance criteria. It means you're competent in all the little skills that is needed in a course. So that's a very simple example. Otherwise, you'll be flying in the sky until the fuel drops. Very dangerous thing. Until you have to come like, what is it called, a parachute or something? Okay. You can also have the student with Google Translator. For some, you'll get a variety of students in your class, right? Or sometimes just only like you'll get Indian students, or you get Indonesian students, or if you're in Australia, you'll get South American students, Brazilian, European students, right? So many students, okay, from different nationalities. Sometimes they really don't know about English a lot, and nothing wrong with that. Tell them to write their things on Portuguese, Spanish, or I don't know, Hindi, Indonesian, translate it in English. So it goes out in like, let's say the questions they write in English, English to Indo translation, English to Indian translation, right, Hindi, English to Portuguese translation. Then they can read what the question is about or what the subject is about. So Google Translator is a really important player in this game, and it will help you a lot. So you can tell the students to perform like that, to do like that, right? Now, feedback. So whenever as a trainer we're giving feedback, normally we say them either they're competent or they're not competent, they pass or they fail, or some colleges they have percentage basis, 50%, 60, 65, 75, HD, D, okay. So all these things are there. Anyway, our job is like if they somehow are not competent, our job is to just make sure that they understand the topic, and we are just helping them out to just put out in a correct way, to do things in a correct way, right? And it doesn't have to be 100%, it is okay. Not every student is going to be 100% in your life. You will not find that, right? Sometimes we are not 100%. Making them feel relaxed and comfortable. So whenever we are giving feedback on their assessment or whatever, writing the comments should be really, you should not feel like you're punishing them. Punishment has never really done any good in any society. It just scares people. People does not become more creative, right? So whenever you give feedback, not really personalizing the feedback, but just saying that, hey, this question was wrong because of this thing. I'm sure you could always do better. Maybe you missed this point. Hey, not hey, like of course you write the name, you know what I mean, right? Hey, you missed this point in this one. It would be really, really great if you could write it, right? Something like a positive feedback, to encourage a student. Because first of all, some of the students don't even want to come to the classes, right? So how do you encourage them to come? And when they get the assessment, they have the really bad feedback, they don't want to further study. And that creates a big problem in our society, right? So they have to be educated no matter what. So like these kinds of feedback will definitely help you out. Now comes the magic part, right? The Magic Johnson part of basketball. I'm sure you could have gone to one of his seminars. I think that's coming up. Unfortunately, I could not be there, but I'm watching it live on my home. It's great, right? The 10X seminar, I think. So let's promote Grant in this video too. But anything that makes a trainer better, go to seminars, meet people, meet lots of people. So it will encourage and observe a lot of things. It will really help you to be a great person. So how can I as a trainer or teacher learn the system and work efficiently? I learned it the hard way. It took me years and years to really, I'm not that old, but years and years means when you talk with somebody that is 50-year-old that is teaching, with 60-year-old that is in the education business and teaching, and you make friends with them, and you ask them the right question, you learn very fast, right? So that's how I learn. I'm sure that there are other things you will learn in the job. The fastest way of learning is through your colleagues, respecting your colleagues, but performing your own style. It's just like not copying, it's like looking, observing, and you are just making your own way of teaching. Because every one of you are really unique, which is so good. You should really clap for yourself. I mean, I would really clap that you stayed until this time of the video. Really, you guys are unique, and you're going to make unique people. Don't be disappointed. it will work out. Reverse the question. That's a really good technique. Meaning, if some of the student asks you, you're a new trainer, some of the student asks you some question and you're like, shit, I don't know. Why did I miss it? You know, wow, I don't know that, right? In your brain. You just ask, yeah, Fernando, that's a really good question. In fact, so what do you think about would be the best answer? Reverse it. You know, they throw you a question, you throw them the question, right? But anyway, and then if they're confused, just say them, okay, you know what? Let me find out. Really, I have the answer, but let me find out whether it's correct or not. Let me find out a better answer for you tomorrow, right? So you just escape for a bit. You have that little bit of time, maybe 1 day, 2 days, 1 week. Come at them, give them the proper answer. And if you can't find that all, which is very impossible, right? Just say I couldn't find it in a very simple way. Sometimes saying I don't know will hurt a lot of people and they just want to give the answer because they just want to, but you will look like a dumb if you don't give a proper answer, especially if you don't know, right? So just wait. Reverse the question. When they ask you, you ask them, what do you think, right? I'm sure some of you are married people. You're doing it in your marriage, right? The wife asks you a question, what do you think, honey? Does it suit me, this sari or whatever? You say, yeah, baby, I think, what do you think? That's it. You just switch it, right? So average human, I was just Googling, when I was making this PowerPoint, I think yesterday, I was just Googling on things. Yesterday means, I don't know, like 18th or 19th of February 2020. So if you're watching it after 100 years, I might change the PowerPoint slide. Anyway, so average human attention is lower than a goldfish. If you Google, it's around 8 seconds. We are bombarded with information. Bang, 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 bang. Too much information is there. 8 seconds is really, really not even a minute. 8 seconds is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. Attention is gone again, right? How can you teach for 3 hours? How are you going to teach for 8 hours if the attention is only 8 seconds? You make it more exciting and simple. That's the key word. Simple, right? You have to do that. You could try doing that. It's going to be really helpful. Now, ask the student opinions, engage them as much as possible in the class because for some of the students, that's the only time where they speak English or any languages, right? So engaging them is really good. You're just making them ready for the world because when you go to the world, unless you're a computer nerd, you need to engage with people, right? So it will be really nice. Be time efficient. Like I said, you don't need to teach so much. You need to teach what's important, right? As a trainer, even when you look at the workbook and everything, you should really find out the proper information and then get it out. There's a fire.
Emergency.
Can you believe it?
Evacuate now. Evacuate as directed. Evacuate as directed.
I think I'm going to keep it.
Emergency.
Time of the day to train the student. So what do you do?
Evacuate now. Evacuate as
When you have all
directed.
these
Evacuate
emergencies.
as directed.
Great.
Emergency.
Handle situation properly.
Evacuate
I'll put
now.
another video.
Evacuate as directed. Evacuate as directed.
Okay, welcome back everybody. I think that was something crazy. So, in life, unexpected things happen. There was a fire alarm in this building for some reason. Probably the student must be smoking, right? Could be. Have patience. I think that's also one of the secrets, right? Just have as much patience as possible. As a teacher, it's just like being a parent. And you just have to have some patience. Okay, that's what I learned right now. Okay, so I think we're on be time efficient. I don't know if I discussed it already before. So we have very limited time and we can only do so much of things in this limited time. So we have to be very time efficient, right? So other technique I found out over the years is time of the day can change the student moods. A time of the season, right? So time of the day means suppose in the morning they're a little bit sleepy or maybe a little bit more active in the morning. Sometimes in the evening classes what I noticed is that most of them feel really sleepy because some of them might have worked and come, right? So they are more inclined to feel sleepy in the evening classes. So this is all how you have to handle them. In the rainy seasons, not everybody would be as enthusiastic as in sunshine. No, not sunshine, but that's a good word. Sunshine season, right? Or summer, let's say. Okay. So when you have sun, they're like sunshine in the classes, and when you have this rainy season, some of the students are like, okay, a little bit gloomy, a little bit sad, right? It's just basically because of the environment as well. Being a team player always helps. If you are a trainer, being a team player always helps. What does that mean? That means helping the student. That means getting along with the teachers, with other colleagues, right? Asking them if you don't know anything. And you don't have to have that ego thing. Learning new things, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, at any age you can learn. And if you're open to learning even as a trainer, I'm sure you can do wonderful things. So now different institutions or colleges have different rules. You can speak with your college, or if you are a shy person, observe how they operate. Meaning, just basically see, every college has their own rules of operations. They operate, they have different instruction to the trainers, right? Depends on what college or what institution you're teaching. However, observe what's going on around you. Talk to people. Talk, or if you're very shy people, just observe how they are doing the things. But it's better if you talk. You will know all the internal skills. That will help you a lot. Now, I think we're coming to the end of our presentation. So yes, that's it. The last slide, look. Happy days, happy, right? Last slide. I explained that point already, isn't it? So that was a good point. Helps you with the students. Encouraging them to ask questions, what can we change in the class so that it's better for you guys, right? You can ask like that. Hey, what do you think we could have changed it in the class that just happened? So when you ask like that, the comment doesn't come to you. It comes to the pattern that you're teaching, right? It comes to the examples you're giving. It doesn't directly affect you as a trainer or a person. So whenever you're giving feedback, whenever you're doing all this feedback kind of thing, obviously. So encouraging the students to speak is a very, very good way, so that you'll have more turnouts in your class the next time, or you'll know how to teach better in an easier way, right? So I hope you enjoyed it all. Wish you all the best, and I'm sure there are lots of other things we can discuss. If you're watching it on YouTube, please comment below. In any channel, you can subscribe to their channel. I think it's a really, really simple, short and sweet video. I welcome you all to this journey of being a trainer or a teacher or a coach. I think our job, like I said, is we are creating and we are crafting the future. So it's a very, very unique job. Sometimes can be frustrating. Sometimes you lose patience, but keep it under control. Have patience, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. With over time, you'll enjoy it. And if you can be a great trainer, great teacher, if your students become really successful, I am sure for our Asian teachers, they will help you with this too later on in the future. Give your best, okay? That's all. I'm Gaurav Thapa. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it, right? That's it. Have a great day.